So in this video, what I want to do is show you how to create these O-ring grooves. So if we go back to our job sheet, it essentially is going to allow us to, or give us a hint. We only need to draw the outer larger edge of the groove because the tool will create the inner edge when we actually cut it. And then we can also just draw one or two of these grooves and then use the mirror tool to copy to make the other ones. So I'm going to show you a couple of different options. So if I come back to my print, what I first want to determine again is I'm going to draw this rectangle. And if I look, I'm only doing this outer edge right here. I'm not going to do the inner edge for now. And so I am looking at this rectangle, and again, I need an anchor point. And so I'm going to choose this top left corner as my anchor point because I have those coordinates. My X is going to be 0 since it's on the left edge. My Y, if I look down, is this 271 thousandths right here because that's how far down it is from the Y0. It's going to be a negative value again. So I'm going to create a rectangle, and I need to know the size. And so we have to figure that out. I look down here, and I see one of those dimensions is given to me, this 0.3. So it's going to be 0.3 in X. As far as Y goes, I'm going to need to do a little math, just like I had to do for the thumb slot. So I see it starts at 271 thousandths, and it ends at 571 thousandths. So if I do a little math and I take 0.571 minus 0.271, I end up with 0.3. So really, it's actually a square. It's 0.3 by 0.3. I'm going to end up making it at this anchor point a negative 271 and 0. So I come back to Ericom, and I'm going to create a rectangle. My anchor point is going to be top left. X is going to be 0. Y is going to be negative 0.271. X and Y are both going to be 0.3. And then I'm going to create. It snaps right there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just create the next one just by using the print. So now my next one, the only thing that's going to change is my anchor point. And so I'm going to keep the top left corner, but instead I have to find out what this point is right here. And it's not given on this O-ring groove, but if I move over here, I can see that it's negative 1.571. So if I come back, the only thing I'm going to change is this Y value, negative 1.571. Now I have two of them. Now in the job sheet, it mentions mirroring, so I want to show you that. So if I close out of here, I have the two on the left, which is great, but now I can mirror them over to the right. And so if I select them, if I click on one and then hold down the shift button and click on the other one, I can select both at the same time. I come over here to mirror selected objects. And I have a couple of options. What I essentially want to do is I want to flip it horizontal. I want to flip it around the job center so that it uses the midpoint as its position to flip around. And I want to create a copy. If I don't select this, it'll just move the other ones over there. So I'll show you. It just moves them. So I'm going to Control Z to undo, and I'm going to create a mirrored copy and then flip horizontal, and it snaps two over there as well. So it makes the process a little bit faster. Now, I have a 4-sided rectangle here, but what I really want is just 3-sided. So before you go any further, what I like to do is click on the rectangle and just stretch it past by any amount. I don't want to change the location of it. I just want to stretch it past this position. This helps us when we're trimming. So I do that for all 4 of them. Then I come over to my trim function. And what I want is just to trim everything past this line, okay, on the outside of that line. So I just trim there, trim there, trim there, and trim there. I'm going to escape out and show you what it should look like. If you click on this rectangle, it should just be a 3-sided rectangle, and then it should be independent of the other outline profile, not like we did for the thumb slot where we wanted to join them together. We don't want that for the O-ring grooves. So now my last step for the actual groove, as far as drawing it goes, is to just go ahead and do the fillet. And so I'm going to come back to my print. My fillet for these is 0.150. And so if I do a fillet, I set my radius to 0.150. I'm going to go around and fillet essentially 8 locations, 2 for each O-ring groove. Starting to look like the wallet now. The last thing I need to do is create the holes for the actual screws to go in. So I'm going to close out of this, Now for a hole, I'm going to create circles, but I need to figure out where those are supposed to be. I'm going to come back over here. It says draw the holes for the circles at 89 thousandths of an inch in the correct location, and I can do the mirroring again. So I'm going to come back to my print. My hole, my first one, is going to be 89 thousandths, as my print said. Okay, that's the tap drill size. Number 43 is 89 thousandths. Then I'm going to say my location for the first one is negative 421 in Y and 145 thousandths in X. That's the location right there. So I'm going to come back over here, click circle. X is 0.145. Y is negative 0.421. And then make sure you're in diameter. And it's going to be 89 thousandths. And I create. So it creates a circle right there. I'm going to create my second one down here. The only thing that's going to change, the X is still the same, the size is still the same, the Y just changes to negative 1.721. So I create another one at negative 1.721 and create that. Now I can close out of there, do the same mirroring, hold down Shift, select both of those, and then I'm going to go to the mirror, make sure it's going to flip and create a mirrored copy, and it snaps over, and those are done. So now you can see this is really starting to look like the wallet that it's supposed to. So it has this overall shape. You can see where it's going to cut those O-ring grooves over here, and it's also going to drill the holes. So I'm going to end this video and move on to bringing in some sort of image.